The Wood Beyond the World. Chapter 27. Morning Amongst the Bears. So Walter laid him down and fell asleep and knew no more till he awoke in bright daylight with the maid standing over him. She was fresh from the water, for she had been to the river to bathe her, and the sun through the open door fell streaming on her feet close to Walter's pillow. He turned about and cast his arm about them and caressed them while she stood smiling upon him. Then he arose and looked on her and said, "How thou art fair and bright this morning! And yet, were it not well that thou do off thee all this faded and drooping bravery of leaves and blossoms that mocketh thee look like to a jongler's damsel on a morrow of May Day?" And he gazed ruefully on her. She laughed on him merrily and said, "Yea, and belike these others think no better of my attire, or not much better, for yonder they are gathering small wood for the burnt offering, which, forsooth, shall be thou and I. Unless I better it all by means of the wisdom I learned of the old woman, and perfected betwixt the stripes of my mistress, whom a little while ago thou lovedst somewhat." And as she spake her eyes sparkled, her cheek flushed, and her limbs and her feet seemed as if they could scarce refrain from dancing for joy. Then Walter knit his brow, and for a moment a thought half-framed was in his mind. Is it so that she will bewray me and live without me? And he cast his eyes onto the ground. But she said, "Look up and into mine eyes, friend, and see if there be in them any falseness toward thee. For I know thy thought, I know thy thought. Dost thou not see that my joy and gladness is for the love of thee, and the thought of the rest from trouble that is at hand?" He looked up, and his eyes met the eyes of her love, and he would have cast his arms about her, but she drew aback and said, "Nay, thou must refrain thee a while, dear friend, lest these folk cast eyes on us and deem us over lover-like for what I am to bid them deem me. Abide a while, and then shall all be in me according to thy will. But now I must tell thee that it is not very far from noon, and that the bears are streaming into the dale, and already there is an host of men at the doom ring, and, as I said, the bale for the burnt offering is well nigh dight, whether it be for us, or for some other creature. And now I have to bid thee this, and it will be a thing easy for thee to do, to wit, that thou look as if thou wert of the race of the gods, and not to blench or show sign of blenching, whatever betide, to say both my say and my nay say, and lastly this, which is the only hard thing for thee, but thou hast already done it before somewhat, to look upon me with no masterful eyes of love, nor as if thou wert at once praying me and commanding me, rather thou shalt so demean thee as if thou wert my man all simply, and nowise my master. "O friend beloved," said Walter, "here at least art thou the master, and I will do all thy bidding, in certain hope of this, that either we shall live together or die together." But as they spoke, in came the elder, and with him a young maiden, bearing with them their breakfast of curds, arid cream, and strawberries, and he bade them eat. So they ate, and were not unmerry, and the while of their eating the elder talked with them soberly, but not hardly, or with any seeming enmity, and ever his talk gat on to the drought, which was now burning up the down pastures, and how the grass in the watered dales, which was no wide spread of land, would not hold out much longer unless the gods sent them rain. And Walter noted that those two, the elder and the maid, eyed each other curiously amidst of this talk, the elder intent on what she might say, and if she gave heed to his words, while on her side the maid answered his speech graciously and pleasantly, but said little that was of any import, nor would she have him fix her eyes, which wandered lightly from this thing to that, nor would her lips grow stern and stable, but ever smiled in answer to the light of her eyes, as she sat there with her face as the very face of the gladness of the summer day.